welcome Jeremy Kohnmann to Home is Where the Dark Is, man. Thank you so much for stopping by, and it's great to see you. It's been a bit since you've been here, and I know you've been really busy lately, so I just wanted to, have a chat and see what you've been up to and for you to let us know what's going on in your world. So first things first, I want to talk about, I want to know your experience from Sick New World with London After Midnight. So let us know how that was, because it seemed like such a fucking awesome festival. Like so many of my favorite bands played. Like unfortunately I didn't buy tickets soon enough, so it was sold out, and I was like, fuck it. But yeah, how was your experience playing with London After Midnight?
Well, first, thanks for having me, man.
Of course.
It's cool. It's good to be back here. Such a beautiful studio. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, Sick New World. It was an experience for sure. I've been calling it 1997 Fest because that's what it was. It seemed like all the bands that were just massive back then, they all played this, or 97 and whatever.
Yeah.
Really, really cool. I mean, what an incredible lineup. My humble opinion, it should have been 2 days.
Yeah, I know. Totally.
But it was cool. I personally got to see a lot of bands that I'd waited a really long time to see. The highlight for me was Deftones, for sure. It's not a band that I tried very hard to see, just because there was that weird spot, and I don't mean this any negative way at all. It's this weird spot where it seemed like they weren't really, their live show really wasn't on par. It's just like kind of rough. And that's just from like old live footage and stuff like that. So I'm like, I love this band so much. I don't want to have that experience. But
I get it. Yeah.
yeah. At the same time, it's kind of a little stupid. I should have just, wanted to go see one of my favorite bands. Anyway, they killed it.
I saw some footage of it, and dude, almost every band, footage from every band I saw, everyone seemed just absolutely fantastic. Everyone just nailing their sets. Dude. It was like, damn, and to see Cold Chamber back after so long, they crushed it. So yeah, the Deftones sounded amazing as well. And I know what you're talking about too, because I remember there were, I think every band over their career, they go through their ups and downs with their live performance, just depending on so many different factors. But yeah, I definitely have seen some Deftones footage that was a little cringe. But I think every band goes through that. Not every show isn't fantastic.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
No,
but yeah,
totally.
I totally get what you're saying though.
Yeah, I don't know if the heads weren't in the game at the time or whatever it was. I'm not here to judge anyone, but they were, oh my God, that was for sure the highlight of the day for me. I mean, and I got to see some cool bands. Sisters of Mercy, I was so excited about seeing Sisters. So that was cool to finally see. Lots of others as well. The show experience as a performer was a little rough. It's just, there was just so many bands, especially on the side stages where LAM was. The crew was incredible. I cannot throw enough praise at the crew of the, I can only talk about our stage, but some of the most professional, nicest, just amazing. They were on top of it, and they were there to help. And even when things kind of went a little sour for us at one point, they were there.
What happened with your live sound when you said it went sour?
We had a lot of RF issues, which is all the wireless stuff and everything like that. It was just. There was a moment right before we went on stage where the monitor guy kind of seemed like a little bit of a panic.
Oh no.
I don't know. I don't know if I should say it, but I was told that the RF tech, the tech handling all the wireless stuff, did not show up that day or was at a different stage or something like that. Apologies if anyone sees this. I'm saying this incorrectly, but yeah, that was an issue that day. But it was an issue not only with us; it was everyone on that stage. Everyone that went on stage that day that I saw was having issues before and after us.
So your signal was just randomly cutting out here and there, or what was?
Sometimes just not there at all.
Damn.
I had to make one guitar change during our second song, and that was just not there. it wasn't. Signal. I was checking all my stuff real quick. I even had my techs over there working on it too. It was just gone.
For the whole song?
For the beginning of the song, it was just like I switched guitars. Everything was on. I'm like, okay, it's gone. That channel is just, there's nothing.
Fuck.
So, which is what it is. It happens. Thankfully, there's a cable.
Yeah. So you just plugged in a cable really quick? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Damn.
And it was, we had our issues that morning getting on stage or afternoon. And my stuff wasn't exactly where it needed it to be and all that because we were rushing, and that's just like the nature of that whole setup. I mean, it's band after band after band after band. The side stages were on rotating turntables. So as like right before us, it was 69 Eyes, which I wanted to see so badly. I'm like, gotta work. Okay.
Yeah, had to get prepped and ready.
Yeah. As they're playing, we're immediately right behind them, setting up and doing our line checks when we can and all that stuff. But there were so many issues, just getting everything done that morning that it was just kind of a rough one.
Stress fest.
Stress fest, indeed.
Man. Well,
so
I mean, I know you've played a lot of shows, so you have the experience and you know what to expect and you know how to like mentally prepare yourself.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, but
yeah.
I can't imagine because like I haven't played a festival like that huge. So yeah, I mean it's considering how hot it was, how many people there were, like the issues. I mean I can't imagine how stressful it was, but I mean sometimes you just got to keep playing and do the best you can. If you gotta throw out your wireless, grab a cable and plug it in. You do what you gotta do to keep the song going. So yeah.
Yeah, it happens. You
Yeah.
just got to be prepared for it. Like that particular instance, I have numerous wireless packs. One of them worked perfectly. The other one did not. They were just two separate channels. One channel worked and one didn't. It just, whatever it was. I mean, and as that's going on, we're seeing planes. We're in the flight path of Las Vegas airport. I can't remember the name of it, but that, I mean, for those who don't know, that's going to cause some issues.
Yeah.
It just is what it is, man.
Damn.
Just got to be a little prepared for it and roll with the punches and still have some fun.
So other than that, like, how was the rest of your set, and like, how was the crowd interaction? How was like the overall energy of the show? Because it looked fucking killer.
Yeah, it was great. I didn't know what to expect from this one because LAM seemed so off the path from like what this festival seemed to be. It's a lot of new metal and like the 90s alternative rock, everything. I mean, like you got the heavy hitters, Korn, System of a Down, Deftones, Incubus, and then over here you got Cradle of Filth playing. There's Body Count. There's Ministry. So it's got a little bit of everything. But I thought I didn't know how we were going to be received.
I think the style fit in well because there was a lot of gothic stuff. Like 69 Eyes was like pretty goth, like goth rock. Having Cradle on there is cool. Like Sisters and Ministry, like all these different industrial, like kind of gothy bands. But yeah, you're right. I mean, most of them seem to be the new metal stars.
Yeah.
So, but I see what you're saying though.
And we do so well over in Europe. And but I mean, over the last year, we got to play, Cruel World out in Pasadena. That was super cool.
Nice.
I think we fit a little bit more with that one. But yeah, at Sick New World, man, like I feel like we were very well received. I mean, Pete, the drummer, and I were talking, and 5 to 10,000 people in front of us. We were also very lucky to be if we're looking out at the audience from the stage, there's the main entrance. So we were at a really good location too.
Perfect.
So, but there was a lot of people, way more than I thought would be there while we played.
Yeah.
Of course, there's people queuing up for whoever was after. I mean, Birthday Massacre is after us.
Okay.
That was cool to see them again.
What time did you guys go on?
1:40 p.m.
So were you sweating buckets up there or what? Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the hotter shows I've ever played, in or outdoor. It was brutal.
Damn.
There was a moment I had to turn around. I almost collapsed on stage because it was just so hot, and we'd been working for so long prior. I mean, our day really kind of started at about. I mean, a lot of us are up by like 8:39, and then it just work, go 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 go,
Yeah.
just trying to get everything sorted. And the festival side, they were having issues getting things to the stages, the band's equipment, all that stuff. Again, not being critical, there was just a lot of bands.
Yeah.
A lot of bands. And so it was a busy morning. I was drinking a lot of water. I did not eat.
Yeah.
And that was the mistake. So
Yeah, I get it because it's like you were going on, in the afternoon, and I mean, for me, I can't eat before a show because not really nerves, but I don't like to have like a full stomach when I'm up there.
yeah,
So you're like
same.
moving around. But I mean, I can understand if you're playing, an evening gig and you can have a nice breakfast and then you digest a bit and then you
Yeah.
can go on stage. But yeah, if you're like going on it during the afternoon, then yeah, I probably wouldn't have had food either. But then the fact that you're in such extreme heat and like losing energy, so yeah, I can see that how that might have been really uncomfortable. But
Challenging.
yeah.
But everyone went through it that day.
Yeah.
I think everyone, audience included, handled it very, very well. Even the festival, the water stations everywhere, they had these massive industrial fans blowing out misters and everything. I mean, they did what they can. Probably wasn't the best idea to book a festival like that in Las Vegas. Just like what,
Yeah.
outdoor?
Yeah.
But I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't book it. I can't handle something like that. They had their reasons, I'm sure, whatever. But yeah, that was, I know that's one of the biggest criticisms, like just in the general, just seeing all the reviews and everything from the festival. That's the biggest thing, was just the heat and whose idea was this, whatever. But
Well, I think everyone knew what they were getting into though. So
totally,
it's
totally.
like, if you made the decision, it's Vegas, it's
Yeah.
summer, it's going to be fucking hot. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if they do another one next year, would you do it again, or is it
Oh,
just
yeah.
too? Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So much fun. So cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And once again, just like seeing all those bands there, it was a cool environment. Everyone seemed really, really cool. Concert goers and the bands and the crew and everything. I mean, overall, it was a pretty pleasant experience.
Great, man.
I would love to do it again.
Yeah, I hope they do another one so I can
Yeah.
go, and it'd be great. Like, there's so many people there that I knew that were playing, and like
Yeah.
people that went, so I was a little bit bummed, but I hope they do another one because yeah, I'd love to see you live with London After Midnight, and there's so many bands that I really love that played that I missed. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, hopefully they do it again and it'll come back stronger next time.
I hope
But,
I hope
yeah.
so too. I hope so too. It was just so cool for everyone, bands included. Like you just said, so many friends playing. It's like this was Friend Fest.
Yeah.
Who didn't? It
Yeah.
was really cool. I just got to see a lot of old friends. Got to give Meigs a hug again, and all that stuff. Chris Collier, we know Chris. He was there. I got to hang out with Chris for the first time in a long time. So good to see him.
Nice.
And all these other bands, like the Birthday Massacre, getting to see my friends in that band again. And but that list just goes on and on and on. When I saw the initial lineup, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, when I was
know,
gonna say
two-thirds of these bands.
yeah, when they announced that festival and I looked at it, I was like, no way. It just seemed like too good to be true.
Yeah.
And I was like, this can't be true. Like, this can't be real. But then I was like, oh fuck.
Everybody
Yeah.
thought that.
Yeah.
Had we not known about it prior, I would have been the same way. I was like,
Yeah.
no way in hell is this real.
Yeah.
It was cool. Really cool.
Well, it's great to hear, man. I'm glad, besides the heat and all that and the technical difficulties, I'm glad it was a great experience for you. So, yeah, what else has been going on with what are the plans for London After Midnight for the rest of the year? Like, you guys have any other shows booked, or what's going on with that?
We do have a couple things. As of right now, we are headlining Mariluna Fest over in Germany in August.
Nice.
There's a couple things that are in the works right now, unreleased or unannounced rather. That should be coming up soon.
Cool.
There's a few things. This band doesn't seem to tour anymore. The festivals kind of seem to be our thing. We do really well with it. So, yeah, it's cool.
What's your take on, like, do you enjoy touring, or do you enjoy touring or like festivals, or both, or which one do you prefer? Or like, if you could, in a perfect world, would you rather be touring a lot or just doing festivals, or what do you think?
I think it depends on the nature of each one. I love touring. Touring is so much fun, but touring the right way.
Yeah.
That's really kind of the big thing for me there. Festivals are a lot of fun too. I don't particularly enjoy going to festivals, but I love playing them. I like the crews that are typically involved. I like the experience of a festival, and just getting to see all the bands. Because I mean, like, I still love music most days.
That's good to know.
But yeah, just the experience of it. Get to see the bands that like I'm so psyched for Mara Luna because I get to see Project Pitchfork.
Cool.
One of my favorite old like industrial or whatever the genre is called these days. That kind of thing is really, really cool to me. And I love playing the festivals. It's usually a little easier too, in ways. Touring can be just exhausting. For anyone who's done DIY tours, especially, it's exhausting. But even when you do the higher level touring, that's still pretty exhausting. But it's still so much fun. A few years back, being on the road with Stitched Up Heart, with Godsmack and Volbeat, like that was so cool. Getting to play the large format arenas, getting to learn the ins and outs of doing that show. When I say that show, I mean like the large format.
Yeah.
You don't realize the things that change when you have to step out onto an arena stage.
Well, now here's a question for you then. So
Yeah.
what are the main differences between like a stadium show and like a festival? Like, are there certain things that are always set in stone, or like what have you learned are the main differences in like how you navigate those kind of gigs?
Oh man, where do I start? Say like the arena stadium kind of thing. I mean, I can only speak from my experience with it. I mean, you're in charge of your own show. In a festival, yeah, of course you are too, but like all your wireless stuff, all your equipment, that's on you, unless you have sound, the sound company sorting you out or whatever. Festivals, I mean, you send your tech writer and hopefully they have you covered kind of thing, like I'm talking like in-ear monitors and all that stuff. I try to be as self-sufficient as I possibly can. So I'm not really too affected either way, usually. But the festivals seem to there's just less to think about, less to worry about as far as the actual go out and do the thing on the stage that's over there,
Yeah.
The arena thing, when you're kind of putting on your own, you have to worry about this. It's just a little bit more work. Not a little, it's a lot more work. Once again, that's from my experience. I don't have the budget for crew. I don't have the budget to bring on a guitar tech, all this stuff with, thankfully I had the experience myself to do a lot of that work myself. But it's a lot more work to go do the tour thing, go do the whatever, arenas, theaters, bars, clubs.
Yeah.
I've played in a barn before.
A barn? Where was that?
Where's that place? It's in Colorado. Durango, Colorado.
Which project was that with?
That was with Stitched Up Heart. So that was interesting. That was interesting. Very nice people there. That was an experience though. A fun experience actually. But an experience. This was I can't remember the details of it, but it's something that um, these either fans or something. They had like, I know the Butcher Babies went out there and did it at one point. All these other bands, they invite the bands to come out and do this thing, and I think there's a name for it, but come out and play these shows in their massive, beautiful property in Durango, Colorado. I mean, you're just surrounded by fields, mountains, all that stuff. It's incredible. But we're playing this little barn stage, and it's like the equivalent of playing at a towny bar in the Midwest somewhere.
Okay.
It's
I'm picturing
interesting. Yeah, yeah. I think I had 3 or 4 beers spilled on my equipment on stage at some point. You're tight in there, but you know what? It was fun. The people there were so into it, and it was a blast, but it was different.
That's rad.
So, yeah.
So, okay. So you have stuff happening with London After Midnight. What other things are you prepping for? Are you getting ready for? Are you in the middle of for 2023? Like, I know you have your metal project. What can you tell us about that?
The December Silence.
Sure.
Sure.
Silence or any
Yeah.
other projects you're working on?
That's the metal thing for sure. It's like symphonic black metal thing. I know you've heard some of that, to say the least. And that's a very old project, but it's something I've been trying to finish for years, and it just keeps getting derailed or keep getting. I guess it's been on the back burner a couple times.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Priorities, like things come in, and you gotta support yourself. You gotta take the gigs. I totally get it, dude. I have quite a few back burner projects as well.
Yeah, and it kills me to call it a back burner, because I still don't see it as well. Even right now, in the last year or so, it's kind of got this new life that's being put into it. But like you said, it just certain things come along, and priority has to be put in certain places.
Yeah, you gotta knock it down on the list a bit to put other things up on the top.
Yeah. And then even just sometimes the sheer amount of work that goes into something to make it, and I know you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
The sheer amount of work that goes into some of these projects is enough to just be like, man, I can't do this right now.
Totally.
But and that's not being lazy about it. That's being at least trying to be smart about it. About doing it when it's right, when it feels right, not forcing anything, because that. I mean, I don't know about you, but when I force something like that, I just hate it. I just hate it after it's done. I'm like, I never want to hear this again. I'm not happy with how that turned out.
Yeah.
It sounds forced.
I hear you.
Yeah. And with something that has so many different elements and everything, that has to be, in my opinion, that has to be right. That has to feel right. That has to come along naturally. In ways, I don't know if I'm making sense, but
No, totally. I think everyone has their own. Everyone is in tune with their projects in their own way, and I think sometimes there's some people that are like, I go through different phases. Like I try to be, even on days when I'm not feeling super inspired. Like sometimes I'll still write or I'll still record just because, I'm just programmed to always work on something. Like it's very hard for me to just not work. If I want to, it's hard for me to like take a day off during the week and be like, yeah, I'm just not feeling it, or I'm not feeling inspired. So I'm just not gonna go in today. But it's really hard for me to do that. So I'm kind of conditioned myself to, even if I'm not feeling inspired, I still try and I still go in and I'll write some riffs, or I'll do something. But yeah, sometimes that stuff doesn't work out and sometimes it does. But at the same time, I do feel like it's important to know when, okay, this isn't the right time to work on this for whatever reason. It could be anything, but yeah, I just kind of go between those two mindsets. So yeah, when you're saying, I think, yeah, like I said, everyone has their own way to be in tune with their projects and know if the time is right or if it isn't, and how to just be as productive as possible. Because sometimes you're actually not being productive if you're trying to work on something, like you said, and force something. It's like you're kind of it's not really doing you any good.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I totally can relate to that.
Yeah. I mean, and you brought up an interesting thing too. It's like sometimes you just gotta go in anyway and try.
Yeah.
You never know what's gonna come of that too.
Yeah.
And I think there's something magical about that. When I'm not quite feeling it, I'm not quite in tune with it, sometimes I'll try anyway too. Well, that's sometimes how I also find out that I'm forcing it. But I try to record everything. And sometimes like I'll come up with, while I'm working through something, I'll come up with a different riff. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Save that away for another day, or like I'm working on something. I need this kind of riff. I need a bridge. I need whatever. That'll pop in my mind. I'm like, oh, let's try that and see if that does the thing. Sometimes that'll, indirectly kind of grow some cool stuff. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, the December Silence thing is definitely kind of one of those projects. It's old. It's been through a lot, emotionally and all that stuff, but also just changes over the years and trying to try to navigate that one respectfully and sometimes technically too. So
Totally.
it's a weird one. So over the last year, getting Paul Allender involved with this whole thing as well, which is super cool. As you know, bandmate from the White Empress days. Getting him involved was really cool because he breathes a whole different life into it. He's taken some of the old riffs from some of these ancient songs and made them very Paul Allender. Like, it's cool. It's like, all right, that's nice hearing that differently.
Totally.
And it just keep going back to that, breathing a new life into it. It does. It's cool. It's cool for me to hear it differently. It's also, I don't know. It's just seeing things in a different light sometimes will bring out other inspirations and all that stuff. And, it's not all old songs too. There's some new ones in here as well. That even hearing things differently has inspired some other ideas for some newer tracks and all that stuff. So, that's been really cool. I'm anxious to get back to it.
Yeah,
when that time is right.
I'm excited to hear the new stuff, and I know you've been working on it for a while, and you've been, there was like a show you were supposed to play, and then it got canceled, but Paul came out anyway, and you guys worked on some stuff together. So I know you have a lot brewing. So yeah, I'm excited to hear the new stuff, and it's still it's awesome that you're working with Paul still on this because he's he has a big history in metal, and he has like, I think your guitar playing styles like really fit well together, and like your songwriting as well. So yeah, it's great to hear that you guys are still collaborating.
Yeah. No, I'm grateful for it. I mean, we spent more than a few years just not doing anything, especially after the White Empress thing. Our drummer and one of my good friends, Adam Sagan, when he passed away, that was like such a hard blow. Not only just to lose such a good friend and an amazing human being, but he, at one point, I really do feel like he was kind of the lifeblood keeping it together. We had some internal turmoil, bands, and he was the one really trying to keep us all together. And when he was gone, it's like, I don't know, that heartbeat just kind of stopped. That was tough. So years later, to be working together again on something different is pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And yeah, like you said, I think our styles do complement each other because he also inspired a lot of what I do. The whole like Midian days, Cradle of Filth, like, whoa, cool riffs, like, and there's such groove in there, and it's so cool. Like, he's the groove master of a lot of this stuff. He hears and sees things and envisions things in ways that I don't. I'm like more of like the emperor side of the thing. Like, I love that old, really almost orchestral symphonics. Like I even see my guitar in this genre. I see my guitar playing like that too. I kind of write in that style, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he just brings these brutal grooves. It's so cool. It's so
Yeah.
cool.
I don't know how many of the like which songs he did write for Cradle of Filth in his time in Cradle of Filth, but I do know like his era in Cradle of Filth are some of my absolute favorite
Hmm.
songs from them.
Yeah.
Like just phenomenal riffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's really really cool stuff. I mean, he is responsible for a lot of that stuff of his era. You know what I mean? And I mean, and that's not discounting current day Cradle either. It's
Oh
just like
no, no.
they've incredible players too. Richard Ashok, and they're. I mean, I know Richard's not in anymore, but what they contributed to the Cradle legacy is amazing as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it's different. It's very very different. I think, and I'm not just saying this because he's a friend, but what he brought was just different. Just
Yeah.
different. It is a unique sound to Cradle of Filth. Because when I think Cradle, me personally, it's Cruelty and the Beast. Like I love that album. That's Cradle of Filth
Hell
to
yeah.
me. But what someone like Paul brought in, he brought this whole other flavor to it, and he's responsible for some of my favorite Cradle songs too. Like the bittersweet stuff. I
Yeah.
love that release.
But yeah, anyway, it's great to hear that you're still collaborating with Paul and you have this project going, and yeah, I'm looking forward to hear some of the new stuff and like when you finalize some of the older songs.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you're working on? Any other music projects you want to talk about?
Oh yeah, there's a ton of stuff. Currently working with this writing group that I have, or I'm a part of rather. Um, I don't want to necessarily say ghostwriting, but working with other artists, writing for them. It's like total pop music.
Nice.
It's like you take present day pop and you mix it with the Beatles. That's kind
Interesting.
of, it's cool. It's fun, and it's challenging.
Yeah, I bet.
I listen to everything except arena rock country. I can't handle. I can't handle that. But no, music's music, man. Like I love it. I will listen to everything under the sun, almost. So it's an experiment for me. I get to take influences from all over the place, whether, it's classical music, whether it's got Nine Inch Nails influence, whether it's some of that more symphonic black metal stuff. A lot of like cool, more vibey, folky stuff I get to kind of throw in there as well. Finger picking style, cool, beautiful, using different chords. I know I looked back to, a lot of earlier David Bowie stuff for influence and inspiration as well. So it's a lot of fun. I can't talk about that stuff too much, but it's that is taking up most of my time these days musically.
Nice. I love that. I love that you're just widening your musical creativity, because like I know a lot of people, they stick to like one genre or they have a couple things that they don't really stray away from. But it's cool to hear that you're about any music that hits you in a certain way. It doesn't necessarily matter the genre, so it's cool to hear that. So yeah, I mean, songwriting is fun, just to get away from your usual genres and just, like you said, break out an acoustic or a classical acoustic and just play some chords, a nice melody, collaborate with a singer. And pop is really fun. It's fun to write that stuff, and like you said, it is challenging. People think it's easy, like, because it's so, like, it's just mindless music, but it's really hard to write a good pop song.
It's the hardest to me, and the most rewarding in a lot of ways too. And I'm not talking like payout, like financial payout necessarily. It's just when you are able to navigate that in such a way to like create this thing and not have it be 17-minute long epics. Like it's really, really cool, and it's a total challenge. And I've been surrounded with it my entire life, like growing up listening to like Michael Jackson and stuff like that. That was like where my initial influences came from, is that stuff.
Wow.
Jennifer Batten, for example, like her playing, like seeing live footage of MJ and his band, like she was so cool. That kind of stuff was so awesome. And listening to the Thriller album, the Toto crew and everyone involved with that and all that stuff. It was really, really cool, and I still find myself inspired and influenced by a lot of that stuff.
It's great. It's great to hear.
Even in the metal and the industrial stuff when I'm writing that.
Yeah.
So.
There's so many, like Michael Jackson like has had so many fantastic like melodies and like bass lines too.
Oh,
just
the bass lines. Whew.
sexy, just like
Yeah.
so fucking cool. And like I think that's a lot of people, well, it just seems like the focus is obviously on his vocal, but there's so many other amazing things going on in those songs that like when you analyze them, like when you're hearing the song all by itself, it's like, okay, that's a sick vocal, that's a killer like hook. But then if you go further, you can realize, whoa, that bass is doing some crazy shit, or like the guitars are like, there's just so much, amazing musicianship and all that stuff. So it's what awesome. What other music or what other artists really influenced you, like when you're, getting into music, like as a kid, what other bands were like, helped shape you?
Oh man, hands down. I mean, like Metallica was the biggest one for me as a guitar player. I mean, the Hetfield and Hammett duo was huge for me. At one point when I started, I was like 11 years old or whatever it was. Wanted to write those, or wanted to play like those guys. I started with my grandfather teaching me how to play the classical and stuff, and it was really, really cool. I still love that stuff. Then I discovered tab books. Ride the Lightning was the first one, and learning things like Fade to Black and attempting Fight Fire with Fire and stuff. It's just like there's so many different things happening in that album that I was just like being pulled in so many different directions, being influenced and inspired in so many different ways from that album alone. And then around the same time, Load came out. Load, unpopular opinion, I know, is an amazing album. It's like one of my favorite albums ever released. And the amount of inspiration and influence I got from that and still get from that these days is massive. So Metallica.
Nice.
That was huge for me. And then obviously, the Nine Inch Nails stuff, The Fragile will always be like probably my favorite album of all time kind of thing. Again, so many different things happening in that, from the harsh and the angry to the calm, beautiful, that album has it all, and in such a unique way. Old school Marilyn Manson.
Yes.
Huge. All the way up to Hollywood. I mean, like the stuff after that's great too, but that was like, for me, as far as what we're talking about now, from Portrait all the way to Hollywood, it's just gold.
I agree.
Gold.
Manson was a huge inspiration for me as well. Yeah, I really hope he comes back with the new record and he starts playing shows again, because he's obviously had a hard past couple of years, but let's hope he gets back into it. I'm sure he will. But
it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Look, we all know he's no angel. He's made that very clear. But I think I saw something on social media over the last couple weeks at some point. I'm so out of touch right now, but something about releasing new music. It'll be interesting to see what that is and also how it's received. Yeah,
for sure. Because he was silent on social for like a couple of years, and he just made a post recently. So I'm really hopeful that there'll be a new record or like a new single or something soon. But cool, man. I mean, we have a lot in common, as guitarists and songwriters, I feel like, and just your inspirations very similar to mine, like as as I was growing up. So yeah, I loved all that stuff, like everything you mentioned. I was really into like a lot of the metal stuff, and like my mom played Prince all the time, so that was like
Gotta
ingrained.
love Prince. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, what kind of advice would you give to aspiring like guitar players and songwriters on how to, you know, to keep your cool and to push forward in the industry? Because obviously everyone that has done this for a while or for a short amount of time knows how difficult it is and how there's crazy ups and downs. Like, what kind of advice could you give? Because I know you do a lot of teaching, so
Hmm.
like maybe, what kind of advice do you give to your students as well?
Practice. That's really the biggest thing. Like it blows my mind. And once again, I'm not shit talking or anything like that, but it blows my mind how little people actually practice these days. And maybe that's just a me thing. I brought my guitar to school with me. I got up early in the morning, practiced. I not always, but that's the thing. After school, that's all I wanted to do until the night. I would be pissed when my parents would say, "Stop,"
Mm-hmm.
turn it down or whatever. It was a thing that I wanted. I mean, there are days I practice 8 hours a day because I wanted it. Not because there was someone telling me I had to. It's because I wanted it. I wanted to be able to riff like Hetfield in the 80s, that kind of thing. I wanted to be able to write these really cool John 5 riffs. I wanted to be able to create these cool textures of like the Nine Inch Nails, Robin Fink thing, like I wanted that. I wanted it all. Um, so, but a lot of that was, I was able to do that because I practiced a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot. I built up techniques. I built up all this stuff through practice. So what I'm trying to say is practice. um, so that's from that side of things. As far as the industry stuff goes, it's a wild world out there. I'm not quite sure how to quite navigate it all the time
Same.
because it's constantly changing.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, just keep going at it. That's one of the biggest things is keep going at it, keep networking. Don't spend as much time on social media and whatever. I mean, that's important. I understand that it is such a huge thing, but don't forget about your craft over here too. I see that a lot.
Oh yeah.
I see that a lot where a player or a vocalist, a whatever, a musician spends more time trying to get people to pay attention to the social media thing than they do actually writing new things over here with, it's like where there's this disconnect here. But
It's backwards.
it is. I feel
Yeah.
it is. I feel it is backwards. And like, I feel bad saying that, or like that grumpy old man, get off my goddamn lawn, kids, that kind of thing. But I see it happening,
Same.
and I'm so glad to hear you say that too. Cause like, I sometimes I very often feel alone in that how's no one else seeing
You're
this?
definitely not alone. I just think not a lot of people are talking about it because it's so ingrained in, like in Gen Zers and like,
Mm-hmm.
the modern world is social media is so ingrained all the time, like streaming like apps, posting stories, like basically they're saying if you're not on these apps, you're not posting, like then you don't exist, which obviously isn't true, but it's like I see a lot of young musicians and artists who, instead of focusing on becoming a tighter band or being a better singer or a tighter guitarist, they're focusing on their social media campaign strategies and how to get more eyes on them before they even like have anything to really give to the world that's
Yeah.
like something of quality. You know what I mean? And it is very frustrating because it just seems backward. It's like, no, just do the work up front,
Mm-hmm.
and take the years to hone your craft and to become original.
Yeah, it's like they're trying to get attention for the song that they haven't even written yet. You know, I, as far as the music side of things, I mean, like the song comes first, at least the way that I see it. Um, And I feel like that's at least one point what it was. You know, again, the industry is always changing. It's this ever evolving ball of whatever.
It's like a black hole, just like
Yeah.
sucking everything up and getting bigger and more ridiculous. Yeah.
And it's not all on these artists, on these bands and stuff like that. Like it's that is just how or what it all has morphed into. You have to do other things to get any sort of attention, any sort of traction. You know, how many artists, musicians are now focused on doing other things like, you know, library music, you know, sync licensing, et cetera, a film score, which is great because, I mean, like we've gotten some really amazing film scores out of some musicians. I mean, I can talk about the Nine Inch Nails and Reznor camp all day long, but like, and they're just one example, you know. So there's positives and negatives to it all. But it's like, how many directions do you need to be pulled, you know, to I don't know, pay a cell phone bill?
I know.
You know,
It's just so, I understand like you have to, you know, adapt to survive. I totally get that. And, you know, I'm guilty of using social media too much at times, and I find myself having to like pull back and just focus on what really matters. But it is a struggle because you want to survive, like you want to be successful, but at the same time you want to focus on what really matters. So it's a balancing act, obviously. So
and it's super hard. I mean, that really is what it's all about. It's that balancing act, you know. I've been parts of projects, I've created projects where I wanted nothing to do with the social media side of things, and I'm pretty sure that that's a big part of why some of them have failed. There's, you know, define failure, but like it's why we can't get things to build up the momentum and stuff like that. Just because I personally, like, I kind of refuse to do it, you know. I'm just not minded for it. I want to focus on this other thing over here that I find way more important. And I guess like you just can't do that. You have to like be focused in on these other things. And again, it just comes down to like being pulled in so many different directions thing that I just said. So I'm kind of being redundant here, but you know.
Yeah, no, I totally understand what you're saying. And it's just a struggle, and it's just something we have to adapt to. And like I said before, like
agreed.
Like the younger generation, like Gen Z, this is all they know because they're born into it. So it's just programmed into them. For like our generation, it was more like, you know, it was right when the creation of the internet, and like I remember when AOL was a big thing, and like AOL Instant Messenger was like
totally.
I was like addicted to that shit when it came out. I was like just talking to my friends, like, you know, so going from that to like texting and cell phones, and then the iPhone came out, and now everything is on apps, and you have to basically spend more time in this virtual world than your actual world. And it's just like going farther into the AI stuff and the fucking metaverse, and it's like, wow, things have changed so much since we've started music. Like incredibly, like just flipped on its head. So,
and over a very short amount of time too.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. There's a part of it that's fascinating. It's real interesting. And there's another part of it that's just absolutely terrifying. You know?
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's very, very crazy. But
yeah. Cool, man. Well, before we wrap it up, is there anything you'd like to plug, or like where can people find you on your like website, social media, or like any projects to check out? Like what would you like people to check out?
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, I again, I'm not terribly active on social media and stuff, but there's, you know, the Instagram under my name, and otherwise, London After Midnight, you know, go check out LAM. Some cool stuff coming up, more shows, and I really do hope to kind of dive into some new projects and stuff like that this year. So, or soon. I got a few things kind of spinning around up there that I don't know.
Right on, man. Well, dude, yeah, I'll put in the description, I'll put your Instagram and I'll put like London After Midnight stuff and all that. So,
Cool.
dude, thank you for coming by and having a chat. It's great to see you. And
You too, man.
yeah, man, I'm looking forward to the future of, what's going on this year and to see your new project and hear the new music from December Silence and see what's up like with London After Midnight. So I appreciate you coming by and sharing all that. So,
Thanks for having me, man.
of course.
Always good to see you.
All right. Cheers.